What's up guys, Nightingale here, welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about something a little bit different than just a straight pure guide. Today, I want to put out a warning first ahead of the video is there will be some minor spoilers. There are some people out there who hate having anything spoiled. But what I'm going to mention in this video isn't very much of a spoiler, more so as light spoilers is the way I'm going to call them, as you're going to know this information regardless, no matter where you go. Just the units existing is a spoiler, basically, if we want to get down to it. But today, what I want to talk to you about is Overzone. Now, why is because we're actually in a very unique position. You've probably heard me in a few videos recently going on about the 1-year anniversary of Nikke. Now let's rewind to almost a year ago. Back to November 4th. I remember day one, soon after the servers released. Ready. I remember going forth and trying to roll for Scarlet. According to the beta testers, it was one of the most... Actually, it was probably the best damage unit you could get through the beta, and it was... You have a couple different options. You can go for the tank, you can go for the reviver, you go for the support, go for whatever, but I decided to go for the Scarlet reroll. So I had 6 accounts pulled up on my 4K TV, the 55-inch TV that sits right over here. And I can still vividly remember seeing and struggling with all 6 accounts, trying to manage them through synced up on LD player. Quite a challenge it was. Now, at the end of that day, I was successful and I did get a Scarlet account. However, because Nikke was an absolute train wreck that first couple days, with server issues, they had a horrible bug that everyone got plagued with at one point or another, and that was the infinite download loop. Meaning, you would get stuck at some point or another if you had to close the game or whatever, that the download would just infinitely sit there and get stuck at a specific percentage. And there was no way around it. The only cure that even they had to admit for that moment was delete the game and re-download the full game. That was the only hope you had for that first week. Now that did get patched out very quickly after that week, but during that first week, don't lose your account. I'm a walking witness of it. I got that Scarlet account, and I closed out, I remember, it was a, it force closed on me. It crashed on LD player when I went to sync it. Once I went to sync the account, it crashed, and I went to launch it, I got stuck into it, and I had to spend the next day re-rolling again to get another Scarlet account. So I ended up having to go around 150, 130, somewhere in there, worth of re-rolls to get that one Scarlet. Nowadays, re-rolling is horrible in this game now. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I was there day one. I saw the story, I witnessed it, and I was blown away. Going on the adventures with the counters is actually quite phenomenal journey you're going to witness as you play the game. It was one of the most interesting mobile game stories, and to be fair, I'm gonna be real here. This is probably one of the most interesting video game stories I've seen, and I've played AAA title story-based adventure games. And this one has really caught my attention, and it's been really well written. And I'm not joking. There's some serious talent behind what is writing this story. So do not skip this story. If you have, make sure you go back and watch it. It is phenomenal.
Got a squad ready.
All right. So I was there and I was getting captivated day one by the scores, by the character development, watching these characters and getting invested. But I will admit, there came a point around the end of December I got burnt out because I didn't quite understand certain things about Nikke, and I let it basically to the point of I burned out and said, I'm gonna stop playing Nikke. Once I got done through that, and I stopped at a pretty horrible time because within a few weeks, Modernia was released, and I saw her thing being posted around on social medias that a Pilgrim was being the first Pilgrim banner. And I believe that was one of the reasons why I ended up hard stopping the game at the time, because it was the Helm banner, then immediately into, I feel like it went straight into Christmas Rupee, which then went into,
Got a
which then went into Christmas Ann, and then it was at the end of December, it was Moderni, I think, dropped on the 28th of December. So it was like back to back to back, and I mean, it was like, how are we gonna get the gems to do this? We're barely getting tickets, and you're already talking, pulling these units, and I just got overwhelmed, and I walked away for a while. Well, I maintenanced my account a little bit, and Chainsaw Man thankfully pulled me back in because I wanted to see how collabs were done here. It was a curiosity of mine. How is Nikke gonna handle this? So I came back for that. And then it kept my attention long enough to hold me till one of the greatest Nikke events ever released to this date so far. Overzone. Overzone was the 6-month side story, and I promise you, it is an amazing backstory that needed to be in the game day one. Personally, I believe is more interesting and
Got a
hooking.
squad ready.
It will be the word, is the hook of the story is definitely there. But I understand why they waited to make it a side story because it focuses around one specific Nikke. That's Dorothy. It was the story designed to tell her backstory because she was the Pilgrim Banner for the 6-month anniversary. Now, Overzone was a phenomenal event. Absolutely well done. It was the first voice-acted side story they had released at the time. Next up came See You Again. Now, I still will harp on this and say they need to do more of this, and I mean, just get it out into the far enough into the future where just every side story is voice-acted. It makes them so much better. And it doesn't cost that much more. You cannot use that excuse. I work in the industry. So, being able to have these stories voiced was just phenomenal. And you get to really feel the character's emotions as it goes through. Now, you can read it and you can imagine it, but with the way the 2D
ready.
sprites work, you're not going to quite get the delivery the way you really should. And it's something that you really should sit back and take a look at. So, with, kind of the flop, I would say, of seeing that first side story, No Caller ID, it was incredibly hard to beat at the time. But it got easier as more units got released, our power got higher. It made it easier for the new player experience. But by the time Overzone came around, it was phenomenal. And it was an amazing experience. Now, here's why I bring this up. As of just recently, Overzone was added into your game. That's right. Right now, you can go back and relive the Overzone side story. I spent 3 hours on stream the day after it released just to play it again because it is that awesome. And I wanted to go back and see the story. Now, here's the thing. This is a side story for Dorothy. Dorothy will get introduced to you later on in the story. I believe it's somewhere around chapter 18 to 20-ish. Somewhere in there, you get up with the inherits. You meet up with the counters meet up with the inherit squad. So it's great, it's cool, and it's a lot of fun. But there's a lot that didn't get answered at any point between chapter 1 and chapter 20 about these very 4 interesting Nikkes you see right here. But follow me. Let me show you where those answers lie and why you need to do this before the 1-year anniversary. So inside the command center, you will want to come over to your recollections area and go check out this tab right here. Archives. So they're gonna start slowly adding more in, and there will be another one added in the next patch, but I'm not going to disclose that. But I do know that there is another one coming, and there's probably gonna be one coming every so many weeks, to be fair. We're eventually gonna have all of our side stories archived in here. No Caller ID. I'm excited to go back and actually play it now that I can fully beat it. It was an interesting story, plus I kinda wanna give it the second chance. But Overzone is the chef's kiss of side stories, and you have access to it right now, and at the most important time you possibly can have before anniversary. So, this will cost a currency to get into. You will not have access to this, but in a few minutes, I will go over and show you how you can get this. But you will need to spend a currency that you can get, and you'll be able to earn some of the rewards that were available inside of it. So come inside once you have purchased it, and you're gonna have access to 2 side stories plus a mini game of sorts. This is exactly how it looked when we played it. The only thing is you're not gonna have the little relics that you have to pick up daily, nor will you be able to earn currencies in here. Now, some of you just probably had to watch a cutscene to get in here. That cutscene is slightly important for who that unit is. I will not spoil it, but this person is quite referenced in this. So, you now have access to 2 different side stories, Story 1 and Story 2. Everything looks and functions, like I said,
Very well.
identical to
Moving
how
out.
it did day 1. This was such an amazing story. I'm not joking when I say it kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I actually sat 3 days waiting for my currency to generate, because I was like, I didn't want to really spend my gems at the time because I was trying to pull Dorothy, and it was, I was sitting there just going, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for the next day. It is that engaging, it is that deep. This story, just epic. But you get to go through both sides of the side story. Now, there's another piece that is super vital for you to make sure you check out here.
Very
That
well.
is white
Moving
memory.
out.
Now, this is where the slightly spoiler-ish stuff really comes in, is we're gonna mention a couple things here, because this is vital for why I want you to pay attention to it, because you may go, well, I'm just gonna skip over it. It doesn't seem like there's anything vital in here. There is. This is something that I've been talking about for quite a while, that a unit that is potentially gonna show up for Anniversary, or at least has been foreshadowed because of the half-year anniversary quite heavily, is Red Hood. You've probably heard in the story, if you've been far enough, you've heard them talk about it. You've watched through the story at this point, and you've heard them talk about Red Hood and Lilith, these 2 different Nikkes that were originally in this squad. So, you now have to go through each individual mini-game story-based things. That's a reading puzzle. I highly recommend take the time and read each one of these different interactions. It's gonna seem a little overwhelming at first, but there are very important clues that they are gonna talk to you about that helps build the characters of the 4 Nikke you see in this side story. And it happens to revolve around Red Hood. Why this also is important, and why I'm saying Red Hood is most likely going to be the Anniversary unit, is she just showed up in the main story quest here not too long ago as something they've been talking about. So, why does this sound familiar? Because this is exactly what happened with Overzone. Dorothy just so happened to be released and talked about in that side story, or in the main story quest, at the time Overzone dropped. See where we're going? Now, that's as far as I'm gonna go with those things, but this is why I want you to come actually do the Overzone story before you get to Anniversary. Because if I am right, you're gonna wanna know a lot of this. Now, I wanna take a few moments and actually go back and talk to you about why this is important. So, if we go back to the 4 Nikkes of this story, we have Dorothy, we have Snow White, we have Rapunzel, and we have Scarlet. Each one of these, the counters encounter throughout the early parts of these stories. You start running into these characters. Now, as somebody who literally witnessed most of this before Overzone, it was pretty cool. And I'm like, all right, these units are neat. I can enjoy who they are. I kind of understand, but you don't understand these characters that well. Why is Snow White the way she is? Why is Scarlet the way she is? Who's Rapunzel and why is she this way? It'll take you a little bit longer to get to Dorothy, but when you start getting to Dorothy, you're like, huh, who's this? You get she's a pilgrim, you get she's powerful, because pilgrims are basically already hyped up from the opening of the game that these are the OP units of the story. All right, so we need to be paying attention to these because our Nikkes aren't quite there. They're not technically pilgrims. So let's see what's going on here. Why are they so important? Well, without Overzone, you don't understand the backstory of Snow White, which now, once you go through it, you're gonna go, oh, this is why she interacts with the counters and the commander the way she does. You start seeing and understanding these pieces because of that puzzle you missed. And it's such an amazing character development. Watching Snow White grow from the unit you see in, or the character you see in Overzone to who you see now. Now we go over and let's talk about Rapunzel for a second. Rapunzel is one of those that she's got some pretty decent dialogue between the commander and the counters inside the story. And you'll have to follow Rapunzel around and you're gonna get some interesting story scenes with her. But you don't understand her. There's not a lot that is built upon in there that gets you to invested in this unit. But the side story for Overzone does. It tells you a lot about this unit and who they are. It's quite incredible, and I don't want to ruin it. There is some pretty interesting things. Things that just... It helped build this character so much more. Again, that's why I say it should have been in there. Scarlet. Probably one of the more unique ones in the story, for me, was seeing Scarlet's story develop. Now, it's very interesting to go through and see her development in Overzone. While, again, she's not the main character, these are just the side characters to it. But the interactions that you will have with Scarlet throughout the game is enough to where you're curious of who this unit is and what they're about. And especially when you hear the entire community talking about two units, Moderni and Scarlet, you're gonna have questions. Why is she using a sword when everybody's using guns? Why does she look the way she looks? Why is she old-fashioned? You know, there's so many things you're gonna have questions about. And some of those get answered inside the story. But it helps get your emotional attachment to these units a little bit deeper, which is great. And seeing the character story for Scarlet was, I'd say, pretty top-notch. I was impressed with how they built her up to who she is. And then obviously the queen of the story, Dorothy. For me, I'm glad I had Overzone before I saw her first appearance inside the main story quest. Because knowing her backstory, knowing her character makes way more sense going forward. Seeing what they have done through her story and building her up to where we are today to get her into that is phenomenal. Absolutely top notch. As a unit, she's also a phenomenal support Burst 1 unit. But that's not what it's about. We're not talking about the unit, we're talking about something they are setting up for. There is a bigger piece to this puzzle that we are watching develop right in front of us. I will be shocked if it is not Red Hood. I'm gonna be real. I will be shocked. But it'll be a good shock. It means not everything is as predictable as it may seem. But with that, Overzone is a big piece of the puzzle. It's a phenomenal story. Now, why all this comes together is because here's how I predict what's gonna happen. With Anniversary literally 1 month away, I think it's a month and a day from today. Today is the 1st of October. You have 1 month to get ready for Anniversary. And if it is Red Hood, there's gonna be questions because here's the thing. They're probably gonna go back to before Overzone and start talking. So I think it's wise you understand what's happened first before we go there, because if it is, I'm so assuming it will be a origin story of sorts for the Red Hood character, kind of like how they set up Dorothy inside of Overzone. And it'll be a phenomenal, absolutely top tier story. See You Again was phenomenal. An absolute great development story for Helm. Why can't this happen for, now, Red Hood? This could be any Pilgrim, to be fair, that could be coming up or showing up soon. But I'm assuming Red Hood because it was so heavily foreshadowed and talked about with the Overzone story. So why not go to the next best thing? So now your question's probably going, well, okay, you got me interested. How do I get in there? All right, This one is very simple. This is where we know how this system's gonna be working from here on out. You're now gonna have to come to your most recent side story, whatever this will be at the time. For right now, we got 3 days left on School of Lock, and at the end of the week, we're gonna be getting Dazzling Cupid, which will be Tia and Naga's side story. So inside of the missions is gonna be a very crucial currency. Now with all these thumbs up, this is gonna be a pain in the butt to find, but it should be right here. The memory film is going to be a currency, I believe, given out once every 2 weeks, side story. So you'll have the ability to unlock one story every 2 weeks. Now we are already at a deficit because they've released 2. The next one's not so fun, so you can at least get through Overzone very quickly. So you'll need to come through here, and here's the cool thing. All you have to do is beat event 112 for the first time, which means if you come inside the story, it's the normal version, number 12, that's all you have to beat, which is easy for any account to beat. And then you have access to that side story. It may take a little bit of progression, but you will be able to get there. As a new account, I would be stunned if you cannot beat the very first. Because let's see, power on this is 12,000 power. I believe you should be, as a new player, you should be able to do this with less than 10,000 power. You should be able to beat these 2 stages. It may take you to play it manually, but you should be able to do it. So you'll earn the currency, then you'll go and spend it, and it will ask you, it will give you a prompt saying, do you want to spend it? Yes. Literally, shut up, take my money, please, let's go. I need to know this story. The unfortunate thing is I think there could be a better way of going about this. Maybe this is just me being, you know, a little greedy, but, you know, there's a part of me that says, would it really kill you to make a small shop? Since you do have to play through the whole thing, why not give the player playing through it one more time? I'm not saying make it to where it's indefinite, but one more time. Let them get something other than a memory from it. Now, sure, it allows you to collect all the pieces, some of the music stuff and all that. It allows you to collect some of that. But why not help out the new player? Because this would be a great place for that, to give them the ability to go, here's a little extra currency. I'm not talking about giving away all the stuff for your recycling room or anything like that, but throw in some core dust, throw in some battle stuff. I mean, you don't even have to make it a shop at this point. Just put it in as a stage reward where they get some core dust, they get some battle dust. Get something to help you progress, because this is kind of a great place to do this. It doesn't need to be advancement ticket. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna turn down advanced recruitment tickets. If anytime you feel the need to be generous and fun coupon those things, feel free to litter them all over the ground. I would love picking those up. I will pick every single one of them up. All of them. Even the ones that are torn, I will use them. I will tape them back together. Duct tape is a wonderful tool. But seriously, throwing out some recruitment recruitment tickets or anything like that would be helpful for a new player. As an advanced player, yeah, great, sure, I'd take them, but is it gonna make or break me? No, but it would help a new player getting started. So maybe consider that as if anybody does watch this through the shift up, maybe, hey, take the advice and go for it. But come in and enjoy a phenomenal, phenomenal story. Play this before anniversary, please. If you are watching this before anniversary and you haven't gone here, please come in here and watch this story. I promise you, it's amazing. And you're gonna thank me when anniversary rolls around. You're gonna go, oh, now I see why. It's gonna be a wild ride. I'm super excited for anniversary. I cannot wait to see. If this was 6 months, what are you gonna do? What is your bar for 1 year of Nikke? It's been an incredible journey, and I'm excited to see where we're going now. It took this side story to completely hook me back in. Ever since then, ever since this story, I have not skipped a day unless I was sick. And typically for me, sick is either a raging headache. I haven't actually been sick since January. Other than a headache, I haven't skipped a day. It's been that engaging for me, and I absolutely love the story and what it did for the quality of everything else going forward. Now makes so much more sense because I knew this information. So get ahead, learn some of this, because you might see some of these characters return. in a new sense, seeing if this is Red Hood, you'll see these characters again because they were all part of the same squad, the Goddess Squad. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you do take the moment to go through and play the story. I promise, it will be amazing. And as always, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.